Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Worldology. Today's video, we have some more good news about Battlefield 6, right? So, Battlefield gave us a new article, a community update, right? For all of the playtests that happened, right? And the final feedback and statistics for Battlefield. So, in total, it was over 30 Battlefield labs, right? Sessions successfully completed alongside our community, and a total of 92 million hours played during the open beta. Battlefield 6 is the most tested and iterated Battlefield game in history, and player agency remains at the heart of it. So, what we know is that this game is the most expensive and also the most played Battlefield, I guess, hours played, right? And Battlefield's history. All Battlefields, BF3, 4, and you get the gist of it. 92 hours played during the beta, and it was only like 14 days, right? So, Battlefield 6 has more ways to play than ever, and through the open beta, we aim to validate at scale that offering multiple playlists in parallel would not compromise the authentic Battlefield experience. Here's a closer look at some of the most important data points we reviewed and our summarized findings for each class pick race, right? The map layout was the main deciding factor for class picks. For example, support had a higher pick rate on Siege of Cairo, which is a CQC focus map, on Iberian Offensive, or I call it King's Battery, with more long distance combat opportunities. We saw an increased pick rate for Recon. Comparing between open and closed weapon playlists, we observed mostly identical class pick rates with about 1 to 2% difference at most. Excuse me. Kills per hour, KPH, also remained virtually consistent for both playlist types. Open weapon players scored 0.2 more KPH in Conquest and zero point 0.1 in Breakthrough. So 92 million hours played, and it was only like a zero point 0.2 jump. These people are trash, bro. So, enough joking aside, Battlefield is, a casual game, and it's going to obviously bring more casual players than, supposed to be, right? So, match length. Match duration increased slightly within closed weapons playlist by up to 45 seconds, or about a 3.75% difference for both Breakthrough and Conquest. Revives. We also observed a slightly higher revive rate for closed weapons at 3% for Breakthrough and 2% for Conquest, which coincides with the slightly longer match duration. So again, I guess I don't know what the percentage are. I don't know if it's going against the 92 million hours or whatnot. We don't really have much of a reference to, notice what is what. But I can say that the closed weapons did have like a little bit of a higher percentage for what it says, right? Greater team play, which is what Battlefield is at the core of heart. It's a team game, and um, I don't know what to say about that because I'm going to keep going further of what they chose. Signature weapon usage, more players played with non-signature weapons in open weapon playlists. Tongue twister. However, recon players still favor sniper rifles over other weapons, and their pick rate was identical between both playlist types. Alright. There was not a single dominant weapon archetype, and we observe a consistent and well distributed pick rate between them. This balance shows that even with different playlist types, players explored a wide variety of options without one class standing out above the rest. So yeah, that means that about all classes was played at a decent level, and it might not seem like that because not a lot of people play team team ball with the team, so it's kind of like, oh, What can you do if you have a medic next to you and he's just like oblivious to where you're at on the ground? Not just because you're on the outside of the street, but just like in a corridor or in a corner or whatever that nobody can see you at, right? So, time in combat, there were no differences of note for time players spent in combat between open and closed weapon playlist types. The actual differences were only fractions of a percentage were rounded up. The results were identical. Lastly, another key insight from the open beta was that the vast majority of players, after trying both playlist types, chose to stick with open weapons. This reinforced our belief that open weapons is the right path forward for Battlefield 6. At the same time, we recognize that some players prefer class weapons experience. To support them, official class weapons playlists will be available at launch. Okay, so what that means is that everything that was pertaining to closed weapons versus locked weapons, or open weapons versus closed weapons, it did not matter for the gameplay of the game. Nobody noticed a difference. The only difference was like a percentage of team play, and we don't know the mass, what the mass data was, right? Because it was 92 million. So let's say like 2 million of it, right? 2 million players was playing more team play. Let's say about that. To support them, all right. Additionally, closed weapons mutators will remain part of the portal toolset so players can create and share their own custom experience. Menu and playlist updates for launch. We are also making further changes, improvements to playlists as a direct result, of some of your feedback. All launch maps will be available across playlists from day one, giving you the freedom to play whichever map you prefer. We tested having multiple open modes in single playlists during the open beta and learned that players' favorite playlists would combine modes. We will continue to iterate and adjust playlists to deliver the best Battlefield experience possible. You will have the flexibility to play in both single mode and mixed mode playlists. At launch, Conquest, Breakthrough, and Escalation will have their own dedicated playlists. Alongside these, you will see combined playlists such as Conquest and Escalation and Breakthrough and Rush, so you do not have to stop matchmaking when switching between those experiences. If you want to focus on a specific mode outside of playlists, you can always find it through custom search in the server browser. Custom search enables you to select which map or mode combo you prefer, and you will be match made into a match with these search criteria if available. You will have a higher chance to be match made into your preference. The more you broaden your search, Portal remains the tool for creating and customizing experiences, while the section in the main menu previously called Portal is now called Community. So now Portal is called Community, which is basically a server browser, community server browser, or whatever. This is where you will find the server browser, which is now prominently featured to make it easier to find and use. So again, when I was saying in my previous videos, there probably are going to be filters and should be filters and everything to have a clean look on what you want, with the official servers and the custom servers, right? That's not official. Separately, we will launch. Okay, this enables us to, for example, feature official hardcore experiences that we know many of you are excited for. Nobody's excited for hardcore. At launch, you will also find new custom experiences designed to add even more gameplay variety. This will be your first chance to dive into the new and improved Battlefield Portal toolset. Now, featuring powerful options like spatial editing, we cannot wait to see the creative ways in which you will use these tools, build and share your own experiences. So yeah, that's for the people who like to create the maps and stuff and launch playlist rotations. We've learned a lot from the open beta and we're focusing on your feedback as our foundation for launching Battlefield 6 when the game goes live. You will find a range of playlist options to jump into, including single mode playlists for favorites like Breakthrough and Conquest, closed weapon experiences, intense close quarters battle playlists, action packed out action-packed all-out warfare playlist. We'll be paying attention, we'll be paying close attention to your feedback, adjusting playlists, and adding new options to make sure things always feel fresh and you can easily find a match that suits your style. Please keep sharing your thoughts. This is just the beginning. All right. So the thing with, again, diversity and making the game too divided. Again, the playlists are good, but if we have a server browser, we have the server browser on the horizon. We are incredibly excited for you to join us on the battlefield at launch, and this is just the beginning for Battlefield 6. As shortly after launch, we will launch Season 1 on September 28th. So we will have, the game comes out on 10th, so we have about 18 months until Season 1 content come, and it's going to be, a good thing. Our season will have more content than ever before in the Battlefield game, and we will unpack that with you in more detail during the upcoming moment. There is much more to look forward to beyond our seasons as our team continues reviewing Battlefield Lab data, player feedback, and ideating on completely new ideas for the future, starting with an exciting new Battlefield take on Battle Royale. Separately, requests for naval warfare have not gone unnoticed. Naval warfare? Are you kidding me? Nor have the calls for a certain fan favorite little helicopter. The yeah, platoons. So I'm going to talk about that later, but I'm going to keep reading and more. We appreciate all of your suggestions and want you to know we're listening. With season 1 and our roadmap ahead, we're excited to continue to build a battlefield that reflects what players want. We'll continue reading and listen to community channels, and we cannot wait to share more with you. So keep the feedback coming. Also, be sure to join our official Battlefield Discord for more discussion and the latest updates. So that's for the people who want the gist of it. Excuse me, who want the gist of that. And what I'm going to say is it sounds very, very good on paper, and we already played it in the beta, all right? So if you wasn't one of the 800, the 500,000 people playing concurrently on Battlefield 6, then just keep watching, all right? So up next is what I've been looking forward to and what I want to say to y'all in the greatest possible way. So the following gameplay updates will be included in our launch day patch with over 200 changes focused on bug fixes, balance improvements, and polish for release. Stay tuned for the full launch day update notes closer to launch. So 200 plus updates, plus updates or changes on focus on bug fixes. That is very, very big, and it can possibly make the game optimizable for the people who play on the minimum spec requirement for their computer or whatever. They don't have a beast computer or whatnot. You will not be able to need to buy a computer like that to be able to run this game, since all the bugs and the optimization is going to be fixed. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. You'll notice that movement feels more responsive with changes made to pacing and with several movement issues addressed to keep gameplay smooth and balanced. So again, changes made to pacing. It already did look like in a few leaks that the movement was a little faster, and I can tell the difference between max FOV, different speed sizes or speeds. I can tell like this speed and almost max FOV, and the person in the new play labs or the one that we was able to see the Merrick Valley and all that, it looked like the movement was way faster, and you can kind of tell the difference, right? So the gameplay is more smooth, more responsive. You don't have to shoot somebody 500 times when they should already be gone to the earth of the crust, right? So weapons recoil has been rebalanced on automatic weapons, making long range gunplay more characteristic, rewarding tap fire and burst control. So we're not going to see the laser beam gunplay in the background. We're going to see a little bit more variety of people's choice of weapon and the identity that they want for their playstyle, right? So say me as the HK player, I'm playing with the HK in the background. So hey, that's my identity for the beta at the moment. I don't know what other guns is going to be in the final release. Um, they could probably change anything or whatever. So numerous weapon attachments have been fixed so they now display correctly in the menus and in game. All right, cool. Gadgets. The LTLM laser detonator has been refined with smoother deploy animations, updated visuals, and several fixes for better feel when used. The MBT law is now the default engineer launcher with a more accurate trajectory, improved guidance, and cleaner sights. Okay, cool. The Mass 148 Glaive is enhanced with more realistic missile path. What the heck? Improved zoom and lock on, sharper scope visuals, and more reliable vehicle damage. All right. Deploy beacons are now limited to one spawn per player, four per squad, helping maintain balance and prevent overuse. So, meaning one person who is an assault and places down a deploy beacon, which means you can spawn on any spot of the map if you use a deploy beacon. That means that that squad that you're in that places that beacon, I don't know if unless you leave or whatnot, you will not be able to use your beacon if you're an assault. So you have to take turns deploying and using the deploy beacon. So maps and modes, rush and breakthrough layouts have been revised for a better balance between attackers and defenders. Operation Firestorm has been updated with improved vaulting, lighting, performance, while Siege of Cairo, spawn killing, and out of bounds issues have been addressed. So the roof campers, the people who, like to cheat because they suck, they will not be able to go up there because it will be out of bounds, right? So let's keep going. The UI and HUD elements are clear with updated overlays, animated pings, new minimap options, and smoother loadout and deploy navigation. Oh snap. Alright, so animated pings. Of course, I was advocating for it. Because the reason why I'm advocating is because you have to press your ping or Q. You have to press Q like 5 times for the person to get marked. So with the animation, it makes everything visible and actually noticeable on if you mark a person or not. Because sometimes it feels like you're not marking a person, like how I am aiming at that person thinking that I marked them, but he's not marked. He's off the screen. So we have animated pings to indicate if you mark the guy, and it's also, the iconic, point to the person and then kill him after. And that's, the niche of the animations for Battlefield. So settings and controls have expanded with new options like VO, volume sliders, sprint bob reduction, and a camera roll toggle for accessibility, plus refinements across platform. So sprint bob reduction, I guess you don't have your head shaking all around and all that stuff, and all the other things are very good. You don't want a lot of damage to your ears when you're playing the game. This game is very loud, and it has a lot of good sounds that pertains kind of like, a real life, you know, Battlefield, right? Just what the name is. Audio has been cleaned up so pings are easier to hear. Weapons and vehicles sound sharper, and missing delayed effects won't get in the way of your awareness. All right. So I guess that means that if I hear a tank shoot a tank shell near me, a person who has footsteps behind me, I will probably be able to hear that. I guess that's what I'm thinking. I don't necessarily know. So network, netcode improvement, reduce desync, make time to death feel fair, and address cases of invisible damage. So this also pertains to the 60 hertz tick rate. Battlefield 4 again had like maybe a 2 to 3 TTK depending on what, probably on most weapons in Battlefield 4, because the tick rate was so high and it was 60 to 90. I think you could possibly be on 120, but nobody plays on 120. But the tick rate is so high, and the calculations for your enemy to get hit and actually register the bullets on their chest is that it registers like all the bullets that goes to them, not necessarily the bullets that's spreading, um, around them, but you get the point. So again, this is the final. Thanks again for your trust, excitement, and feedback that helped us shape the Battlefield 6 experience. See you at launch. The Battlefield team and this announcement such and such and such for live service, and we're getting ready for Battlefield 6. So I'm going to say my thoughts on the final piece of information that we will possibly need for Battlefield 6. And what I can say is that it's looking very good. It's looking very good. It's sounding very good. We're hearing that we're going to get premium style season content, like 3 maps a season, two weapons a season. We're going to get dog tags. I don't know. They haven't addressed assignments yet. They haven't addressed none of those yet. But dog tags, we see those. Player cards, we know those are going to be in the game. The net code. The net code is very beautiful on what it's supposed to be. People are supposed to get hit like they should, right? You don't want to, especially if you're on a console or on a low, not necessarily a low income, but you're not on a computer with that registers the game as a fast rate as a computer that is more powerful to register a fast rate. But again, it doesn't necessarily need that type of back and forth or versus between each other, because the tick rate and the calculations and the optimization should make the game be smoother. So anybody who plays any game on any console, PC, you know, handheld controller, whatever they can do, handheld device, whatever they can do and play on this game, you will not have to have an experience like 2042 that, like you will probably see on my previous videos. You can go look back, you will see on the top left and on everybody else's, 2042 game, you will see how many hits are registered and did not register, or no, mainly how many hits did not register. And there's going to be a lot, okay? So I just want to say this game is going to feel way better than what you think is going to be imagined. And looking for from the people who played, the Mirak Valley, we all seen the, the available footage that was, for us to see. Um, that is close to the final build of the game. They're making more builds, I guess. I hope so. It doesn't necessarily look like the final build, but it looks like a more developed build than the beta and the background. So hey, it's all just comes down to the 3 days from this video that we're going to be able to, put our hands on this game and see if this game is actually worth the hype. We already know it's mainly worth the hype, and it's the one that can save the FPS franchise because it's on a downslide right now. So, hey, you gonna repeat history? Battlefield with a BF1 similar type, but with something that we deserved or the community deserved, you know, like a BF4, BF3 game. And it's just a lot of things like the bugs, right? The bugs was a big problem in 2042. Nothing can work. We know mouse input is working for the game. We know everything is going to make the game better. We just know that. So, mm, nothing has necessarily been addressed with skins or anything to Battlefield. Rush and Breakthrough are having revamps. They're going to have new, layouts for their map, and it's probably going to play better, and we're probably going to have all our game modes back to the way it's supposed to be. And it looks like that's probably all I'm gonna say for this video. Everything is covered. Everything is, here in your face. We see it in due time. Battlefield 6 might be the best FPS game uh, that's that's ever made in the modern times, right? 2025. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say for this video. Hope you like, share, and subscribe. I will be streaming Battlefield 6. Again, I will say it again. I don't know if I will stream on the first day of Battlefield 6, but I will try to get that out for you. Why am I sounding like that? I will try to get that out for you. Okay? So yeah, again, Twitch, Kick, YouTube, be streaming on those platforms for Battlefield 6. And I'll see you there.